Welcome everyone to the Pro Football Doc YouTube channel. I'm Thomas Casale with Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chao. Doc, Fanduel has released an interesting betting market for the playoffs, and I know you have some strong opinions on it. So let's dive right in. It's you can bet on most playoff rushing yards, and they have a bunch of different players, but the favorite is Derrick Henry. Who we haven't seen in some time, Doc. He's returning for the playoffs. Now, he's plus 600 to lead the NFL playoffs in rushing yards. Now, he opened plus 400, so those odds have gotten a little bit longer. Now, I know you have a strong take on Derrick Henry, so tell us why bettors should be looking elsewhere here.
Well, I don't know. Maybe our video yesterday about Derrick Henry has helped move the line because yesterday we showed a lot of practice video thanks to some beat reporters. And look, Derrick Henry looks better than he did last week. Derrick Henry looks like a great athlete in great shape, loaded for bear. Derrick Henry will play in the Tennessee Titans divisional game. But on the video, I still can see him favoring his right side. The most obvious video was doing on some karaoke sidestep drills when he plants on the right to come back to the left. He's slow. All of his cuts on his right foot are a fraction slower than the other side. Go to the previous Sports Injury Central video on this link here, and you'll see it. So based off of that, it's still consistent with what we've been saying. Will Derrick Henry play? Absolutely, I think he's going to play. Is he going to be more effective than Cam Akers? Absolutely. Will Derrick Henry be effective? I think so. But will Derrick Henry be King Henry, 30 carries, 200 yards? I doubt it. Based on the way he looks. Now, admittedly, he's got almost 2 weeks before he actually plays. But also, you have to think about it. This is a stress fracture. The last thing you can do is come back from a stress fracture, which is overuse, and then overuse it again. And he's a big man. So, look, I think Donta Foreman will still have a role for the Tennessee Titans. Maybe they're going to, I don't know if it's going to be 50-50, but I just don't see King Henry doing it all. Although he's progressing very nicely from his recovery, and we said all along he would not be ready for the regular season based on his unique circumstances.
Yeah, Doc, I think your point is very valid, and you can go to sixscore.com. We wrote up an article on this. We have the six scores for different players and all the matchups this weekend. Looking at it from a betting perspective, Doc, in my opinion, the Tennessee Titans are one of the weakest one seeds that we've seen in recent times, okay? So you also have to look, Ryan Tannehill the last 2 years has turned into a pumpkin in the postseason. Now they're going to get either the Bills or the Patriots. They better hope it's the Bills, because if they got to play Bill Belichick's defense, he's going to shut down that run and make Tannehill beat him. So I know the way you're looking at this, Doc, is you want a player who's going to play a few games, because that gives you obviously the best chance to win. Now, before we get into a couple guys we like, the other thing I find interesting, the second favorite at plus 700 is someone else coming off an injury, Leonard Fournette, and you're not sold on him either.
I'm not sold on him. That looked like a pretty significant proximal hamstring injury. Look, could he play? I mean, Bruce Arians is speaking like he's going to play. But not to bring up Antonio Brown. You saw the text message that Antonio Brown released from Bruce Arians. We need you. We're not resting. We want you to play. So he's a guy who pushes guys to play. And I'm not saying in a wrong way, okay? But if Leonard Fournette, it's playoff time, if he's not 100%, he still may play, and he might be, I hope not, one play from tweaking it again. That's happened before. And I don't see him as 100%, so I don't love Leonard Fournette as the next one either. Although, as you say, we also don't love Derrick Henry because at most he can only play 3 games. Right. At least Leonard Fournette could, in theory, play 4 games because they're playing the first weekend, another opportunity. But if you think Tampa's going to go all the way to the Super Bowl, maybe you want to take a chance on Fournette. But with that hamstring issue, I'm not sold that he's 100%.
Yeah, so that's interesting. The two favorites you don't feel are 100% yet coming into the playoffs, which means at those low odds, I wouldn't really take a chance on them. Now, you got to remember, people aren't betting $10,000 on this. You can bet like $100 to have some fun. They have a cap on this kind of stuff. But the third favorite, I think, has flaws too. Aaron Jones for the Packers. Because you look, he's plus 800, but then there's A.J. Dillon at plus 1,600. I see for me the problem with Jones, Doc, is late in the game when the Packers have a lead, they're going to strap on A.J. Dillon. It's going to be cold in Green Bay, and he's going to cannibalize some of those yards. So, for me...
And remember, Green Bay with the bye can only play 3 games. Right.
Your 3-game theory, and you have another back. So I know there's a couple guys that have longer odds that you like, Doc. You don't mind Devin Singletary at plus 1,200. I mind him. We'll get it. I want to give you first crack at this.
Look. As you go through the order, I don't mind him because Buffalo has a chance to play 4 games, and he's going to get the bulk of the carries. Like, I know your theories and stuff. Mine's very simple. First of all, I'm in California. I can't bet on this stuff anyways. Look, we're the Fanduel injury experts, so we're just giving some injury opinion. Devin Singletary's healthy. Buffalo's going to need to run the ball some. Okay, you can say they're pass heavy, this, that, the other. Josh Allen stealing yards, all that. But they have a chance to play 4 games. So I'm just saying Devin Singletary's healthy and he can play 4 games. I have one that I love a lot more. Actually, 2 that I like more than...
Yeah, we'll get to him. I just want to point out one thing. Devin Singletary, Doc, he closed the season off strong. He got 23 and 19 carries, 110 and 88 yards in the last 2 games. My issue is those were against bad teams, the Falcons and the Jets. When you look at his 2 games against the Patriots, he had just over 30 yards both times. And the Titans in the next round, who would be their likely opponent, they're really hard against running backs. To me, I don't know if Buffalo's going to run the football against good teams. That's my issue with Singletary.
And this is what we always say about 6 Score, Sports Injury Central, and our information. The injury side is what we provide. Factor that into the other things. And all I'm saying, the number of games played is important. Devin Singletary's healthy. That's it. Leonard Fournette is not fully healthy. Derrick Henry is not fully healthy. That's all I'm really saying there.
But I know you have two other guys you like. The one that really intrigues me that you mentioned is Clyde EdwardsHelaire, sitting there at 35-1. Now, I want you to tell us the health that you believe that he's going to be fine, because I think most people think the Chiefs are primed for a run, and as your theory goes, the more games, the more yards. What do you think about Clyde EdwardsHelaire in terms of health?
I know everyone's off of him because he's missed the last 2 games. And by video, it looked like an AC joint sprain. I think he could have played week 17 and 18 with an injection. I think the Chiefs were resting him for the playoffs. Add to that, Darrell Williams has a toe issue, maybe not significant, but would you rather have a running back off a fresh toe injury or a rested running back off a shoulder injury that you could inject, etc.? I think Clyde EdwardsHelaire is going to play and be active. Now, of course, how many touches, game flow, and if you believe the Chiefs might be ahead and there's running yards to be had late in games, and the Chiefs, of all teams, I think have one of the better chances of playing 4 games. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if we looked at the FanDuel, they were plus 450 to get to the Super Bowl. Now, if indeed the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl, that's 4 games for Clyde EdwardsHelaire to get the playoff rushing lead. And he's at plus 3,500. So what's the better wager? Plus 450 on the Chiefs getting there or plus 3,500? Because if the Chiefs play 4 games, I think that's a good chance, or at least a 50-50 chance, that Clyde EdwardsHelaire might get the rushing playoff yards lead. That's kind of all I'm saying.
Yeah, and Doc, going just by the numbers from a betting perspective, I really like this pick because you look at 2 guys who have shorter odds than him. Najee Harris, 30-1, no chance. Deontay Foreman, 30-1, no chance. And Cam Akers has the same odds as him, 35-1. And I know you don't think he's going to be getting 20, 25 touches a game. So when you look just at the numbers and who's right around him, I think he's the best long shot on the board for sure.
Now, I'm not saying Clyde EdwardsHelaire should be the absolute favorite, right? He is coming off an injury, but I think there's tremendous value there. And the other one that I wouldn't necessarily sleep on and I don't like it as much, and his odds are much higher. Like, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire straight up better than Sony Michel. But Sony Michel has some value too. Why? Darrell Henderson still coming off that MCL. Cam Akers is not ready. He's playing, but 5 carries, 3 yards. If you believe the Rams can get 4 games or win some in the playoffs, I think Sony Michel is the main back from a medical perspective. But in terms of value, oh my gosh, Clyde Edwards-Helaire much more. Sony Michel, I forget what even his number is.
He's plus 1,600, so 16 to 1 on Sony Michel. You're right. See, to me, the worst number on this board is Cam Akers, 35 to 1. He should be 100 to 1. That's a waste of a bet. I'd rather take a chance on Ronald Jones at 50 to 1 if Fournette gets hurt. He might get more of the carries. I just think Cam Akers at 35 to 1 is that's way off to me.
And Ronald Jones may not be fully healthy on the ankle either, but he's got long odds, so it's all factored in.
Yeah, and so there's one other. You like Zeke Elliott, right? You think there's a chance the Cowboys, if they make a run, Zeke's going to be a big part of it, correct? He's sitting there at 12 to 1. I like Zeke Elliott
just for this reason. Look, I'm not trying to analyze it. The Cowboys are healthy. The Cowboys, you could argue, are one of the teams offensively, defensively, if they're playing well. They got a tough first-round matchup in San Francisco. They're coming in hot. But the Cowboys, could you see the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl? If you see the Cowboys getting 3 or 4 games, Zeke Elliott's the main guy. His knee's healthy. And that's all I'm banking it on. I'm saying who's healthy and how many games might they get. You can talk about schemes and matchups and so forth. But all I'm factoring in is who's healthy. Zeke is healthy. Devin Singletary's healthy. For right now, Sony Michel is healthy. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think he's on the healthy side with his shoulder. And so you just look at the odds and numbers and who can go furthest. I wouldn't take Derrick Henry or Aaron Jones, as you say, some of the more highly favored guys, or Leonard Fournette, some of the more highly favored guys. 35 to me sounds good on Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Sony Michel or even Zeke at 12 to 1. Those are better value, I think.
Yeah, and the guy, I'll throw out one other guy who's right next to Zeke at 10 to 1 is Joe Mixon, and here's why. The Raiders' strength is pass rush, and the Bengals, Joe Burrow gets the ball out so quickly, but obviously pass protection is still one of the things they're improving on. I could see them leaning on Joe Mixon a lot in this first game. So at 10 to 1, I don't hate Joe Mixon compared to some of the other options. But Doc, like you said, if you think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is pretty healthy, and at 35 to 1, I know you pointed that out to me early. I think we both think in terms of value, that's the best bet on the board, right?
Well, I'm not a bettor, but I'm just saying it doesn't make sense that he's that low, and that's probably the recency bias of missing the last 2 games and, not reading the tea leaves. But looking at the injury, I think he's going to play a big role. And if that happens, if that information is out there, you tell me, what would the odds be on Clyde Edwards-Helaire? It wouldn't be 35 to 1.
No, if he was fully healthy and didn't get hurt this season, he would be in that A.J. Dillon range of like 15, I think 16 to 1, right around there.
So you're getting some value there.
Yeah. Yeah, so the bottom line is, Doc, don't go Derrick Henry. Don't go Leonard Fournette. The health doesn't line up with what the odds say. Look elsewhere for value.
There you go.
All right, well, make sure to go to sixscore.com. We'll have all the updated health information on all the teams going into the playoffs. Go to @ProFootballDoc on Twitter and make sure to subscribe to all our videos here on YouTube.